Hey there, welcome to the House Music Connection podcast. I'm your host, Tony Fuel, and each week we talk with different artists where we share industry insights and personal stories. We talk about challenges and successes so that ultimately we can feel more connected as a house music community and learn from one another. So in this episode, we are talking with Paris Cesvette. Paris has been on my radar for several years now as a DJ and a producer and a label boss, and she's been listed multiple times on Traxsource's year-end best of artist lists. And then also she was recently inducted into the Music Producer Guild out of it's a prestigious organization in the United Kingdom for producers. And then when I heard that Paris was releasing a new album, I had to get her onto the podcast so that we could talk about that a little bit. And I'm so glad that we get to connect with her today. We cover a wide range of topics, so let's get into it. Paris, so tell me how to pronounce your last name.
Cesvette.
Okay, that's what I thought it was. But
a lot more simpler than it looks.
So to start things off, why don't you just introduce yourself to people who aren't familiar with you, or who may have bought a couple of your records, but they want to learn more.
Yes, absolutely. Well, thank you for buying the music. If you don't know who I am Paris Cesvette, musician, songwriter, producer, composer, DJ, radio host, editor, engineer.
You wear a lot of hats. Wow, that's awesome.
Absolutely. Whatever gets the music done.
Yeah.
I almost see it actually as all the strings to one same bow. If you have music in your head, you need to get it out. You learn to produce. You can play the piano. You need to get it as a finished product. You become a better songwriter. They all work hand in hand.
Right.
You want to put out a musical message. You have the joy of being a DJ. I think I saw a quote the other day saying DJs are musical journalists. So, I
like that.
That's what, they're all hand in hand. So it's the same, I say to everyone, it's the same skill set, but it's all many years practice of the same skill set, right, in different forms. So
sure.
Start asking me to dance a ballet or do yoga or something like that. That's another story.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, you've had an amazing year. I actually invited you, I don't know, we probably talked, a month or two ago about coming onto this podcast. And then at the time, I didn't even know that you're even in the running for one of the Traxsource top 500 artists. And you got that. That's amazing. Yeah.
I sure did. Thank you.
Congratulations on that. Yes. Thank you. So happy for you. Yeah.
It's lovely. It's a wonderful achievement every year to be recognized for your music in any way. So I'm so grateful for all of it.
Yeah, for sure. And then you also were recently accepted into the Music Producers Guild. Can you just say a little bit more about that?
Yes. That is a beautiful achievement. One I'm probably most proud of. The Music Producers Guild is like, one of them ancient societies of producers, we have in England. So you have to, it's a membership, it's a directory, it's a community that, when you've reached a certain level of production and you've achieved a certain amount of established releases, you then apply for acceptance into the guild. And then, of course, you join the directory of some of the greatest producers, engineers, production professionals on the planet. So I'm very blessed to be, accepted to have a place formally there. So it's wonderful to be part of such a kind of production society and production community.
That's awesome.
Highly esteemed. So it's lovely.
So congrats on that as well, then. That's awesome.
Thank you.
So how did you get into soulful house music? And because that's how I know you, but did you have a past music career before getting into soulful house?
Yes. So music's been something I've done from the age of 4. I was a very quiet yet bubbly baby girl, and I learned my first instrument at the age of 4. And the teacher said that, they kind of think I might be a little bit dyslexic. but I seem to have taken to music very well. So I was raised in a house of just music lovers.
That's
So in one room you'd
that's a good
have,
start. Yeah.
reggae music. In another room you'd have jazz. In another room you've got funk. So I grew up around that. So before I could even talk, I was singing along to lyrics.
Mm.
I couldn't even read, and I'm just singing along to Drew Hill in the car, things like that. And so first opportunity, I picked up the recorder, then the recorder went to the guitar, then the guitar, and then I had a teacher who tried to suggest that I wouldn't have the ability to play more than one instrument.
Mm.
Uh, so, of course, being not a tyrant of a little girl, but what do they say? Good girls don't make history. So,
Mm-hmm.
being not the goodest girl, I went and picked up another instrument. I learned the saxophone. The wonderful thing is my school at the time was just a normal public school, but they applied for like a music excellency program, and they
Mm.
used my grade, my generation to do it
Mm.
because there was a good 30 of us who were quite. We wouldn't have lunch breaks. We would just practice, play, learn the greatest song that was out, create bands, create compositions. So my school only taught classical music and pop music and jazz. At home, I would get soul and funk. So
Mm.
have a parent who's obsessed with rare groove and jazz fusion, take it to a little girl who's learning to take apart Brahms and different compositions and understand about scores and band pieces. It creates a big brain
Mm.
musically. So as much as I was maybe a little bit challenged in arithmetic and calculus and things like that, I flew musically. My teacher said, I don't understand where you've got your style and production from. And I just honed into the more composition and production of songs from that age. So then they just started music production classes, and I was 12.
Mm.
And of course, I did that. No, maybe no, I was say 14. So I was playing the saxophone, keyboard, guitar, learning to produce right from that age. Then I graduated from high school. I went straight into work as a session musician. I was traveling around London, and I got to meet some of the greatest musicians in the planet. And it just became a journey of working with Ministry of Sound, session playing, remixing between jazz, hosting on smoothjazz.com, working with classical orchestras, remixing for more jazz people. Imagine that's really when social media just started coming around. So I only used it for musical networking tools.
Mm.
So I was reaching out to like Frank McComb, all these amazing neo soul, who was Prince and Tina Marie's band leader. I was a big fan of, and so I've always had the B-side ear, So it's not the guys who are the feature; it's who's the guys behind the guys,
Mm.
and that's always been one of my favorite things. Like, why does he play like that? Wow, why does just again a DJ naturally curating who is this person? What does that sound like? And so it led me to such a beautiful chain of musicians that I got to know and watch me grow into the producer I am today. And they've always been around me, supporting my career. The smooth jazz guys like Peter White, Paul Brown, Brian Simpson, Will Downing. It's just the career has been amazing. And working with such esteemed talent has always been so encouraging when the industry hasn't been. So
Mm.
it's been a journey. All that to say, I've never done anything else.
Sure. Yeah. So how did
Yeah.
you, I guess make that, I don't want to say transition, but I guess how did you I guess expand into like soulful house and house music?
So, yeah, as my first job while I was session playing was to work with Milk and Two Sugars,
Mm.
which was the agent for Louis Vega, Kenny Dope, Dennis Ferrer, Soul Central.
Mm.
Downstairs, they had Pete Waterman, who was a legendary British producer studio. And there we'd have Chase and Status, which is a massive drum and bass collective in England, and Danism and Kathy Brown were recording downstairs.
Mm.
And they were struggling on this particular day to finish a song. They went, the little intern over there, isn't she a songwriter or doesn't she have musical talent? Of course, at 17 years old, you're not hesitant on what you can do. As far as you're concerned, you can write the planet. So, of course, without hesitation, I was like, yeah, I can go write Kathy Brown a song, no problem. Imagine, no fear. But I wrote the song, and that was it. I found it working in that environment taught me what Soulful House was like. My dad was always a dance music fan anyway, so he had David Morales, Frankie Knuckles in the house anyway.
Oh, nice.
But being a country girl from Hertfordshire, I didn't grow up in a great a house music lifestyle. So being thrown into the helm of, the Masters at Work agents and Dennis Ferrer agents, I really got to learn very quick DJ Sneak agents at that age.
Mm,
And then my first writing opportunity professionally was with Kathy Brown. It really taught me my soulful house ear quite quickly.
very cool. It almost sounds like it's been like, I don't know, like foreordained for you to have like kind of this
Yeah.
experience. And like, there's like definitely been, it seems like there's been a very serendipitous path towards, yeah, becoming your own artist, and or your
Yes.
own, coming into your own as an artist, and having all of these
Yes.
experiences. And
Mm.
yeah, that sounds really cool.
It's been amazing. It's
Yeah.
it's it's been a journey.
So when did you first release the Soulful House record as an artist?
I'm gonna say 2006 or 2007.
Okay, so
So
that's a
it
while.
was
Yeah.
Kathy Brown and Danism.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Kathy Brown and Danism Light Up My Life was the first record I wrote.
Mm.
And then I would continue to remix with the Aphrodisiacs, work with something with them and Arnold Jarvis, and that was amazing. And then I went on to release my very first single. I ended up doing a lot of work in Chicago, or working with the cats from Chicago, so like Vic Lavender, Abika Soul, that kind of sound. I
Mm.
learned that lovely. When I was 19, I spent some time over there to really carved my ear. So I met Glenn Underground at 19 years old, and Abika Soul, and Vic, and all these Boo Williams. And I didn't get to meet Terry Hunter, who would eventually become a great friend,
Mm.
Gashawn Jackson, Mike Dunn. It just evolved as the years went on. But I worked with Abika and that South African kind of network
Mm.
to create my first single, which was Go the Distance. And that came out in 2009.
Awesome. So
So
let's see. You mentioned production. So what is your, I guess, what is your role in production, like for the records that you release? Like, so are you programming all of the drums and the instruments and all of that, and singing too, and just
mhm.
doing it all?
I'm doing everything but singing, so these poor singers get me singing terribly on the songs that I write and produce. If they choose not to write it, so
Mm.
I often come up with a chord pattern first, or I hear something. So I listen to music all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So I hear something, I go, oh, I really love that. So then I'll take that away, and that will either set off kind of the initial harmonic center of what I want to make. So it'll be like the feel of a song.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll hear like Al Johnson song, and I'll go, I love the way that's kind of dark. Let me make a song like that.
Mm.
So I develop that, then I write a melody on that, and then I sing it and give it to the singer, and I tell them either copy that or do what you want to do. So with all the programming, and then often what I do then when I get the song back, I reproduce the song to match the song they've sung.
Mm.
So if it's not the song I've written, they've done something else, just because of course I want the singer to love it
Mm.
more than I do almost.
Mm-hmm.
I'm always going to love it, but
Right.
I always want the singer's my top priority in anything I produce, or lead musician, whatever they may be. And I love to produce the songs underneath the singer so that there's nothing that really challenges the voice.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll find that in a lot of my productions, that like the singer will be up here and the rest of the music is underneath that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's because when I get a vocal back, all the work then goes back in. So it's like everything gets deleted off, maybe apart from the chords,
Yeah.
and we go all the way back in again.
Mm.
So all the instrumentals initially will be very simple because I won't put any melodies in, nothing that might encourage them to sing something that maybe they might have not sung naturally.
Yeah, that makes sense. I've taken that approach before, because I've written some songs too.
Mm,
And
right.
I mean, not a ton of songs, but maybe 5 or 6, a handful. But yeah, I can kind of relate to. Well, you're a much better singer than I am, because I'll sing like a song that I wrote on like just a basic chord or whatever, and then send it to like a proper vocalist to, just to see what they think
Right.
about the track and whatnot. But yeah, if I kind of have them sign like a non-disclosure agreement that they'll never like release my voice no,
Wow.
I'm just kidding. I'm just teasing. I'm just
Yeah.
like, no, I don't ever want that getting out, that I actually sung on this
No,
record.
I just say to them, like, that's really if they ask. They're like, Paris, I love it, but I don't know where to go with it. I'm like,
Yeah.
cool, give me a day. I'll write it. And I'm like, do with that what you will.
Hmm.
It doesn't help anybody releasing.
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. So that's cool. All right. So I guess what is your favorite part of production then? Just the whole creation of things? Is it like, do you like are you more of a beat person?
The
Some people
arrangement
like to do the
parts.
beats. Some people like to do more of like the
Right.
chords and whatnot. What do you have a preference?
Mm-mm. Mine's the arrangement. It's
Mm,
that final journey. So I'm a real intricate arranger. So
mm,
a lot of my productions you'll hear, I'll go right into particular parts and take out kicks, take out snares,
mm,
things that just give the track motion. And
mm,
for me, it's almost like that bow. It's the tying the bow.
mm,
As I've had some people saying, "How are you so intricate?" Like, I really, and I'm like, yeah, so I'll add extra kicks and certain points, add another snare clap, things that the crashes, the drum rolls, doing when I get to that stage, and that's usually the last stage,
mm,
I get to enjoy the song. The the
mm,
the engineering comes off, and then I focus on the feel. So where does that snare go? How do we lead from that section to that section?
mm,
So my new tune on the new album with Kenny Bobbian, that is one song that is really driven by his voice, because with Kenny, he's got such a beautiful journey in the way he sings that, there's the song evolves in such a beautiful way, and you can't just leave the drums to running for 7 minutes through and expect everyone to enjoy it. So sometimes all the drums disappear, they come
mm.
back with a smash and a clap, and it's adding the effects to allow his voice to resonate through the journey of the song. So it's definitely the arrangement of it, and I play with that. So you'll see these like off blocks, on blocks, and I'll play with that beat all the way through until it's done.
Very cool. So, changing gears a little bit. So, you recently spoke at the Beatport headquarters for UK Black History Month. That's
Yeah,
uh, that sounds like a pretty cool, cool thing to do. Can
very.
you say a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so Beatport's support this year has been phenomenal. The wonderful thing with their support, they just actually had me DJ their 20-year birthday party.
Mm,
So that was a stream that went all the way from London to LA. They had me DJ in their office first, and then they had me speak for Black History,
mm,
because this year's Black History Month was about Black women in music. So
mm,
being a Caribbean Latin woman, they'd love me to speak on my feelings about the business, and then going into their birthday party, and it's just been so lovely, where not only have they embraced me as a producer, but to embrace me as a DJ.
mm,
And so what they love about my particular work is my artistry. It's a very consistent artistry, so their support of that has been second to none, shedding light on the full aspect of Paris Cesvette. So
mm,
where so far my experience has been, okay, well, I've got to do the work to get that support. This is very much, we appreciate you.
mm.
They're very good at making you feel appreciated,
That's
because
awesome.
it's not just, we're a shop window and here's how people buy it. It's like, okay, what space can we give you to make you be seen as who you are? So with the Black History Talk, I was with other amazing women in the business, and able to just express for me, the importance of education as black female in the music business, to be able to stand out in the best way we can. And I always say the skill set is always the answer. If you took away technology, I could still produce a song, and ensuring that I'm as educated as I can be in the field that I'm in. And that's what I was kind of the message I was drilling home, that it's just that as long as you're authentic to you and your
Hmm.
sound, I really try and stay away from the feminist lack of anything conversations, because it is not something that is heavily supported. The diversity is still, I feel, something we're heavily struggling with,
Mm,
because one of anything on on a lineup is not enough. Whether it's someone from the LGBTQ community,
hmm.
black, mixed, size, gender. It's always one, or it's all, we have a all female party over here, or we have a. It's never as collaborative as it could be. So, and many people, of course, will say, well, it's all about talent, and that's something I said. You know what? That's one thing we can't argue. If you are good, doesn't matter what the party, what the place, no one can take that away.
Hmm.
And that's something that I just encourage anyone to focus on. If you're authentic to how you want to make your sound
Mm-hmm.
and you're not too sure how, there is now so many resources to do just that.
Sure.
And that's what my message really was with Beatport, and it stays that way because they are very good. They are a very diverse community and something I completely adored working with, and look forward to working with them more in the new year.
Awesome. Very cool. So, I guess delving maybe a little bit deeper into that. So, is there, what do you feel, like needs to, what changes do you feel like have been made for the better over the last few years to improve representation and diversity?
So I honestly, I took a little hiatus in 2018 because my last album was #1 for 5 weeks. The gap I felt from that, I don't think is a gap that anyone who didn't look like me or fit any category like me would feel. You know, you would imagine if your album is #1 for 5 weeks, you would be a very busy DJ and producer after. And I felt like I'd fallen into a black hole. It was the quietest I've ever experienced. My agent at the time had tried on particular UK festivals, and they said, "Well, who is she?" Like,
Yeah.
she's worked with Josh Milan and Omar, and Did You Not Just See? And it was a big thing to realize that people don't care. Some people don't. I say the business didn't care at the time.
Yeah.
So I took a step away, and our amazing brother in music, DJ Spen and Terry Hunter, and as I said, Gashawn Jackson, Mike Dunn, there's a particular set of men where they wouldn't let me go. So they were like, so of course the Black Lives Matter happened, the Me Too thing happened. I completely stepped away from the business. If people have followed me long enough know I went into healing and exercise for a little while, and I just completely stepped away because I'm a very sensitive woman as well. So I was just like, my whole life has been this business, and if you have a #1 album and you don't feel that success, I don't know what more you would do, is what I felt at the time. So I stepped away. And they were very good in letting me know that people now care about women in business, in the music business. And that there is one very talented woman missing. And I was like, I don't know. So that's why I'm back, because of the persistence of them, the encouragement from my family. And yes, I feel there is a lot more women in the space, which is amazing. I'm working with some lovely women now, which is the first time I'm actually able to do that, which is great. Do I feel it's as diverse as it could be? Absolutely not. I think we're not focusing on diverse and talent. We're jumping to diversity. There is a lot of, the way it would go, you would think that there isn't many female Black producers, and there are so many. But because sometimes they chase look and product over talent, I still feel there's a massive gap, which is why if you're picking someone for diversity, and that's what they represent as the diverse, but they don't necessarily have the ability to make music in key or music in tune, it doesn't look good for the rest of us. And I'm happy to see them working. Like, that's beautiful. But if you're going to be diverse, do your homework. And that's one thing I really noticed, that there's a lot of gaps in people actually investing the time to be diverse well. And that's only something that I think time can heal, because, you know, there's a lot of, because it's a diversity tick, they get a ghost producer, they get someone else producing it for them. And it's like, you know, that Beatport panel I was on, we were all women that produced by ourselves. There's no, you know, hidden man behind us, or which you could sadly get with a lot of women in the business. So, and I think obviously a lot of people would be angry with me saying that, but it's the truth. You look at the credits, that's not just that name. But you look at my credits, Nick Nack, Toya DeLazy, who else can I think of? So many women that are in that space, and they do it all by themselves. And they need to be revered for us who have spent the time to learn how to engineer, or like I leave my productions up from 2006, 2007. They're awful, but it's proof that you can see the journey.
And see evolution, I think, for sure.
Yes, in the claim of diversity, I do think we need to spend more time picking the right girl from the job, not just because it's well, we have to have a mixed, an LGBTQ, a black, a Chinese, a this, and that. It's like, okay, yes, of course, but it would help the community more if you pick the best you can find
Mm,
rather than,
sure.
well, that's the mate of someone. And that's what I've encountered a lot.
Yeah.
It's the job, it's now finding the balance to build myself as the brand and be a producer that sits in the production chair for many, many hours a day.
Mm,
Like, that's a big call I've got to make sure now, because of understanding the responsibility of being a solely independent, female producer.
mm-hmm.
I've got to look a certain way to entertain the masses. And
Mm,
that's just, and I was told that, like, well, actually, you're a little curvier than your average female DJ and producer. You probably should go to the gym. And
wow.
that is my reality, because all my productions, you would think if you gave it to somebody who necessarily wasn't part of the diverse call,
Mm-hmm.
they'd be very well known.
Yeah, and the thing is that
And
that's not
yeah,
something that men have to like deal with as I don't think as much nearly.
oh, not at all.
I mean, like, I mean,
The amount of bellies you see,
that's true. I mean,
it's
and the thing is, like, they don't average like the events aren't advertising guys with their shirts off and like all buffed out and everything. I mean, maybe it's in the gay clubs or the gay events, maybe, but like, for the most part, like it's not like they're selling the guys like
right.
objectiveness or like sex appeal as the
Yeah,
deal. So yeah,
they
it's
don't
so
need
interesting.
to,
Well,
because it's the way.
I
Yeah,
gotta say that
it's the way the industry is.
you know, never underestimate your influence. You are more of
Thank you.
an influence, I think, than you probably think that you are, and you are a light to others that are coming up, you know, after you, and even maybe those who have gone
Yes.
before you. So I mean,
Thank
and
you.
yeah,
Thank you. Well,
so
that's the hope.
yeah,
That's the hope. And that's another reason why I said, I will go to the gym, because you can't change things from the bottom either. And
yeah,
if I can get this beautifully, if I say so myself, made musical music to a position where the masses can align to it.
hmm
Like, of course, everyone says, oh, it's underground, but underground doesn't pay, and underground doesn't get the music going to another generation. I've got the
hmm
lucky thing that, I've been around for 19 years, but I started very young. So God willing, I've still got another 20 years to carry our music forward.
hmm
And I can't do that if I'm choosing, well, I make amazing music and that's enough. No, okay, you know what?
hmm
I'll sacrifice an extra mince pie at Christmas dinner. I'll drink 2 gallons of water a day and
hmm
and move around a lot, and let's see what happens. And that's my mission now. It's
hmm
just to give the music a little bit more in that sense. And it breaks your heart, but as you say, it is the way it is, and I'm excited to see what I can do for our music in that sense.
That is awesome. I think it's very inspiring, and like I said, you are a
Thank you.
light, and others will look to that to um, maybe
Thank you.
gets a little bit more light in their own lives. So it's awesome. All right, so let's see. So you have a label, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what prompted you to start your own record label?
My obsession with jazz and house. So my very first record label was Jack to Jazz,
hmm
and I just had such an arsenal of jazz musicians around me. So I had Dave Stewart, Slick Tim, Giuliano Veludo. We were producing albums in R&B.
mm
But I said, guys, while we're here, can we make some stuff at 124? So I would be jotting down original ideas, keyboards. Giuliano is an amazing keyboard player. Slick Tim, who's also known as Gary Gritness, is one of the greatest bass players. He did a lot of work for Louis, and Project, and I think even some of the guys in Detroit. Um, and then who else did I say? Yeah, but and Dave Stewart, a fantastic Tallahassee, Al Green's band member, an amazing flood of musicians, and people just didn't get it. They didn't. The only people that did get jazz house was South Africa,
mm.
and it led to me touring there for a month and a half, which was amazing. But
Nice.
generally, people didn't grab jazz house the way I saw it. So it
Mm,
wasn't just the jazz house we know, that kind of jazz club sound
mm,
with the swinging hi hats, and
hmm
this was like jazz fusion
mm,
house, which has always been my personal sound. And Jack to Jazz was born, and
mm.
it is coming back because I have so much jazz in my head. But of course, I'm busy doing the soulful, and then the R&B, and the neo soul, and
Yeah.
but then the gap in the music after I had the album led me to create Our People, Our Music, which OPOM, which was amazing. I got to feature Lee John, David Morales, a chain of amazing releases. And then my new baby incoming is Moth, Music of the Heart.
Oh, nice.
So yeah.
And that's a new label, a new imprint, or?
Yeah, that would be for melodic tech and tech house.
Got it. Okay.
So yeah.
Is that primarily a vehicle for releasing your own music, or do you sign other? Are you looking to sign other artists as well?
Yeah, it will be definitely both, but what I'm focusing on doing is aligning myself in the techno field because, of course, I'm humble enough to understand that I have not released publicly music in techno. I've done a lot of session work in techno, but I haven't commercially released that myself. So I've created the moniker as Paris After Dark to start my techno journey because I do love a harder sound. I absolutely adore, well, more than anything, I love the cinematics in melodic techno house. So, you know, you have your tech that is very popular, particularly in England. But for me, I love melodic techno. If you look at the graphics, the work and the artistry that goes into that. So the things that you would use in film, cinema, TV, gaming, documentaries, it's just stuff that's just got so much cinematic work to it. And that's, you know, the big soundscapes, the sound design, and I have that within me to do that. So my big focus is to first align myself with some of the major labels, and I think that's always my most important thing is when I do release productions, I'm a bit of a serial strategist. You know, I make music very quickly, but I don't just throw it out with no plan. You know, before I even start the song, I kind of know where it's going. So my mission is to kind of work with the Afterlife brand and the Tomorrowland and think, you know, real big Mexican kind of techno, Netherlands style tech house, just to see and enjoy that world because I can.
That's amazing. Yeah. So do you have a day job in addition to all of these other like roles that you're playing? Just to, or are you able to like fund your ventures with?
To say day job probably would be, yeah.
Yeah.
I produce videos, which helps fund my production life. So it's all, again, as I always say, to the same skill set. It's all graphic design, video production, graphic production, animation, video graphics, branding, strategy. So it's all the same life.
Yeah.
So I do all of that.
Yeah.
But I do plan to become I'm studying. Yeah, sorry. No, I was just saying I'm studying to become a doctor of natural medicine and divinity. So that's my end goal. Just to, I don't plan to bebop around the universe forever. I just love the spiritual life and understanding, with all the stress I've been through in the music business, how to not completely collapse in anxiety and depression and all of that. So that's definitely something I'm enjoying studying to eventually have in a decade and a half or so.
Very cool. Yeah. Well, so yeah, it's interesting that you bring up mental health because this industry can be, I don't know. I guess if we're not clear on our purpose and our why, that we can kind of let the industry chew us up and spit us out sometimes and whatnot. I guess what tactics have you taken to ensure that you are developing your mindset and you're able to overcome, you know, rejection and imposter syndrome and so all these things that we have to go through as artists at one time or another?
For me, it's definitely understanding that it's not the music, it's the people behind it. That was the biggest lesson. The music has done nothing to you, so don't do anything to the music. Don't give it up.
Yeah.
Don't get angry at it. It's the people. Understanding that comparison is the thief of joy. It can be very trying to see people who, as far as the world's concerned, not been around very long and getting many opportunities, but that's just part of the business. You don't know how long someone's journey is. You don't know where they are in their journey. And I think a lot of artists need to remember that, like, your journey is your own. And as long as you're building your discography and putting out your message the best you can, then that's all you can do. Understanding that opportunities will just come to you if you believe enough. I think that's probably, Beatport approached me out of nowhere. I never thought, because they don't even have a Soulful House category.
Mm.
So I never thought I would have a place there, and I've never felt more at home working with them.
Amazing.
So
Yeah.
it's shown me more life in who I am and what I can do, because we do feel, with all, I think you see so many posts about, well, I didn't make this chart, my song didn't make this, my song didn't make that. If the room was full of all the people who bought your song, I don't think you'd feel that.
Yeah.
If your song sold 20 times, but you've got 20 people knocking on your door every release, I don't think you'd be sad.
Right.
And I think this world has become so instantly gratifying that we've lost the basics, and that's where our mental health is going to, this I don't want to work a 9 to 5. There is no shame in working a 9 to 5 to support you or your dreams.
Right.
And I have a child, and I've always done corporate roles. That's why I would be working at labels, supporting composers, session playing, because we all have a goal, but we have to eat and be well and look after ourselves. Like, you deserve nice things.
For sure.
And so just because you're an artist, you don't have to struggle. And also understanding that some days the music isn't easy to make. Some people will spend ages in a production block. I can't tell you how many times I've just walked away. I'm like, you're annoying me. I can hear it, and sometimes it's just not coming out right.
Yeah.
I just walk away, and there's no rush. You're not on anybody's time. And also, most of the time, your A&I can't even make what you can make. So take it, do what the label says. You can make it again. Like, that's what I think.
Right.
For me, I'm quite happy when labels say, oh, can you tweak this and that? Sure. The third time, I'll tweak it, and because for me the most important thing is to get the song done.
Right.
Now you could say, well, they don't think I'm enough, or they don't think this is that. No, they have a vision for their brand, and they want you on their brand. Fine, but just do it. Like, I think so many artists are fulfilling their ego. Like, it's understanding that you can't change the planet. Take that pressure off of yourself. You are your world,
Yeah.
and producing that, give to the people that support you. Like, just zoom out a little bit. I think musicians don't do that enough. Just take a step back, simplify it. Everything you think, simplify it. They didn't not pick you, they just picked somebody else. They didn't not support you, they were just supporting somebody else. So what do you have to do to get that support? Yeah.
So you talked about having a child and having to eat and live well. How do you balance everything? It can be it can be a tough battle. And I think a lot of people.
I have the coolest little guy on the planet. Yeah.
So how do you balance all of those roles?
Yeah, he is a gift. I was told I can't have children. I have an amazing supportive family, and I think acceptance of everything. As I said, I was told children definitely would never be on my card. Then I found out one day I was 5 months pregnant, so I had 4 months to get used to having a child while in the middle of doing the Spanish Smooth Jazz Festival, in the middle of producing an album. It was crazy, but I welcomed him with open arms. I said, you know what? If this is the gift I've been given, it's not going to stop my world. He's been gifted to me. So if you actually look on YouTube, I've had him produce radio shows with me. He's always been a part of the puzzle. So from tiny, he's been on my lap producing. He's always been there. I've taken him to the studio with a bag of dinosaurs. Same way someone might take their dog somewhere. Like, I've taken my child. Like, oh, by the way, this is my son. He's here. Just leave him in the corner. He's cool. And it's been a gift to navigate this life, being able to experience motherhood, and because a lot of women in business don't get the opportunity. They work and they work and they build their career, and then they end up having their child later in life, and your challenges with the typical challenges that women can have. It's a heavy life, but to be I believe I'm so privileged to be at this place in my career. He's about to go to high school.
Mm.
He's 11,
I have an
and
11-year-old. He's almost 12.
which is
Yeah.
where they started in the UK.
Yeah.
And oh no way!
Yeah.
Yeah, Coral just turned 11 in October,
Nice.
and to like what a joy!
Hmm.
We've come this far, and this is why now I'm in the position where, well, actually, I can focus because when you have a child, it's very hard to be selfish.
Hmm.
You can't choose yourself, and even you can really never choose yourself, can you?
Hmm.
But now he's a little bit older, I can start to pick myself a little bit more. I can
Mm.
go to the gym when I feel like it. He's just laying in bed playing on the PlayStation. He doesn't care. He's like, "Bye, mom, see ya." Where of course when they're tiny, you don't get that privilege.
Right.
So, and he loves what I do. He knows all the lyrics to every song. He asks
Mm.
me, he's got a special little tap if he needs something when I'm working.
Mm.
And it works. It's
Yeah.
just, and actually say to every talk I do, women should consider it more. I get to play on the piano all day, raise my baby. I stop to cook him dinner. I take him to school in the morning. I
Hmm.
do a few hours production, then pick him up from school. I stop about 5 o'clock. I do 1 hour when he comes home from school. Then I stop, and sometimes when I drop him off from school, I go to the gym, and then I'll come home,
Hmm.
do a little bit more, and then I pick him up from school,
Mm.
do an hour, make him dinner, we catch up. Then when he goes to bed, I get back on it.
Yeah.
So I think it's doable.
Yeah.
It's more doable than people realize.
Yeah. And you learn skills along the way that you get better at and whatnot. So yeah, for sure. So cool. Changing gears again. So
Yeah.
you have an album that's coming out. I'm excited to hear about that.
I think it's going to be amazing if I say so myself. It's been the joy of having Spen, the label head of this album. So DJ Spen is the label owner for, obviously it's going on Quantize.
Nice.
And when I did Celestial, which was my first album, he was like, I want an album from you too. And I was like, yeah, okay, Spen, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
And of course, in pulling me back from my little hiatus, he was like, I need them from you. I'm like, okay, well, let me just like do some singles with you. That's fine.
Hmm.
So of course, I released Better, Love Triangle,
Hmm.
Anniversary, Caving In, and I Love You So, all in the concept of it being on the album. So my theory at the start of the year was to do 6 release, 6 save for the album.
Mm.
Of course, mad plans, God laughs. The songs that I've made this end of the year are so amazing. I've had to reproduce everything or do new songs with people because, a year is a long time in a production world. You learn more things, you pick up different energies. And what I've learned with our sound is that our sound can, as soulful house or however you want to terminalize it, it could grow so much more with a little bit more beef behind it. And that's what I found with like I Love You So compared to Better. Better's a beautiful song, had amazing support from Louis Vega, which was absolutely fantastic. But I think to myself, okay, how can I have this reaction everywhere? So then I produced a song with Gershon Jackson. Then I produced a song for Will Downing again, because of course, working with him on his album and other projects, I was able to bring him on this one. Spen was like, I would love a new song from you guys. I was like, oh, okay. Because he's so busy with his stuff. So I was able to get him on. We've got Kenny Bobbian, Michelle Weeks. It's just a massive conglomerate of like amazing.
Nice. When is the album going to be released?
We were hoping February, but it's probably going to look like March now.
Okay. Well, we can maybe, yeah. Well, I'll definitely do what I can to help promote the album, and maybe we can time the release of this episode around the time that your album comes out, so that people get to know you a little bit more and identify and connect with you.
That would be wonderful. That would be great.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Cool. Well,
definitely.
Yeah, this chat has been amazing. It's already been 45 minutes. Is there anything that you want listeners to know?
I'm just grateful for everybody that listens. you never know what to expect, and I'm so grateful for the patience and the persistence of growing with me. I think that's the biggest thing. It's like there are many listeners who have watched me from the Electronic Seduction, which is my very first EP,
Mm-hmm.
or Go the Distance. There's listeners who've been with me since then, and I'm so grateful for the space and um, kind of allowance to grow as a producer. And I'm excited to be introduced to new people that have never heard what I've done. And it only takes one song for people to find everything else. So
Mm-hmm.
I just have so much gratitude for that, which keeps me going, to be honest with you, because of course it can be very trying and very challenging.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, in this day and age, you've got to do content, you've got to do things, and it's like right now while I'm making this album, I haven't, I've got a beautiful radio show that people love to support. I haven't done it throughout this month just because the album's been the focus. It's been completely blinkers
Mm-hmm.
and doing that because it's a songbook,
Mm-hmm.
and I just have, you don't know if anyone's going to support you, so I'm grateful to have people like yourself and just that warmth and appreciation. I there's not enough words for it, really. Thank you for asking me, and thanks to all those that listen. And please just keep supporting good music, share, tell everybody about the album,
Mm-hmm.
and stream all the sets, and tell all your favorite parties to book Paris Cesvette and Tone.
For sure. Okay, that kind of reminds me of do you plan on coming back to the United States anytime soon to tour or like do any gigs, or do you have anything plans for that?
I will definitely be going to the Chosen Few picnic.
Mm,
I love that. I went there for the first year last year,
mm,
but also I work with well, to say work is wrong, but I kind of volunteer at an amazing school
mm,
in Chicago, and it's a program known as the Sound Asylum,
mm,
where we teach Chicago youths who kind of don't have the credits to graduate how to produce music if they've got a passion for music.
mm,
So I go there and I teach, and I get to teach them how to produce music, and it's an amazing concept created by Gershon to encourage, like, the city of Chicago, its strongest history is house music,
mm,
and he has built this program where they have decks, they have production software, pianos, and I go in and just give them like a masterclass yearly to help them understand more behind music theory. So
mm,
please do check that out. Any support the Sound Asylum can get, donations would be amazing,
mhm,
because we're growing it throughout the colleges in Chicago. It's a
mm,
city college, so it's no private school business. It's just an amazing concept by a
mm.
man that wants to teach the youth of our music. And so I'm so blessed to be part of the advisory board and help further that journey in Chicago to teach music. So it's a gift. I feel like when you have a talent, you got to give back.
Mhm.
So yeah, feel free to Google that, check that out.
Sure.
That's wonderful. It's the
Awesome.
Sound Asylum
Yeah.
in I can't remember the college now. Yeah, it's Harry Truman College. Yeah.
Very cool. Okay.
So but all that to say, that I will do every year. I will always go and help teach the babies to be better music producers
Very nice. So I'm actually only 6 hours away from
and better DJs.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a 6 hour drive away from Chicago. So maybe we'll be able to connect and meet
Oh,
up.
no
Yeah.
way.
So yeah. I'm in Minnesota.
Yeah, that would be
Yeah.
amazing. Love that. Love that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, great. Great. Wow. Yeah, I've never been to Minnesota actually.
Hmm. Well, we'll see what we can work out and see if we can. I don't host any parties right now, but I used to. But maybe I'll reach out to some people to see if they want to see about getting you some airtime, some time behind the decks in Minnesota.
We love that.
Yeah.
Get the vibe going on for sure.
Yeah. So do you? Oh, okay. I know that I said that we were like about done, but I keep on
Super.
having questions. Now that now that I'm thinking about it more. So, do you
It's fine.
do you perform live at all? Like when you like do you like sing or anything when you are DJing at all ever?
No, singing is definitely something I don't do. I used to actually play the piano when I would DJ,
Mm,
but just the way the UK runs, it was just not really received
yeah.
as much as you would hope it would be.
Mm,
But I was considering doing it again, but also I know a lot of DJs don't do that. So I was just like,
no pressure there.
we'll see.
Yeah.
But I am performing playing my piano and DJing in yeah. I'm playing my piano and DJing in Spain
Mm,
in July,
very
actually. So
cool.
I am doing that for an amazing festival. It's the Soul and Reggae Weekender in Spain next year.
Mm,
So that'll be great.
nice. Okay, cool. Well, if people want to get to know more about you, where's the best place to, I guess, connect with you and find out more? Do you have a website?
Yes, you can go to pariscesvette.com, or it's spelled Paris Cesvette. You can follow me on Instagram, X. What else am I on? I have a TikTok. Yeah, Paris Cesvette. I'm everywhere. Oh, of course, Mixcloud, SoundCloud,
Mm-hmm.
Bandcamp. You can enjoy some very old Paris Cesvette productions there,
Mm.
which give you a little tickle. Some are an absolute vibe, but it was when I was really learning how to make my beats, so you can enjoy that.
All right. Well, I'm looking forward to the journey. There you go. So I'll be sure to include some links in the show notes so that people can check out more of what you have to offer. And yeah, I'm looking forward to the album and playing that and supporting that. And yeah,
Thank
just
you.
listening to it and experiencing a few more dimensions of Paris Cesvette.
Thank you so much. Thanks a lot, Tony.